Okay, so first we're going to talk about integration. So the first process is to develop the project charter. The inputs that we're going to use are the business documents, agreements, EEFs, and OPAs. The tools and techniques that we'll use are expert judgment, data gathering, interpersonal and team skills, and meetings. From this process, we will create the project charter, which is a huge document in this process, and the assumption log. Next, we're going to develop the project management plan. So the input that we're going to need is the project charter that we just got from the last one. Then we're going to have our outputs from other processes. We're also going to use as inputs environmental whatever EEFs and OPAs, enterprise environmental factors, and organizational process assets. So the tools and techniques we're going to use are expert judgment, data gathering, interpersonal and team skills, and meetings. Nothing special there, but an output is another big one. It's going to be the project management plan. In the next process, which is to direct and manage project work, we will have as inputs the project management plan, which we created in the last one. The project documents will have approved change requests, EEFs, and OPAs. The tools and techniques that we're going to use here are expert judgment, our project management information system, and then we're going to use meetings as well. So out of this process, we're going to have as outputs, we're going to have deliverables, work performance data, the issue log, we're going to have change requests, then we're going to have the project management plan updates and the project documents updates, as well as organizational process asset updates. The next process is manage project knowledge, which as an input will bring the project management plan. We're going to use project documents, we're going to use deliverables, we're going to use EEFs and OPAs then as inputs. Then for tools and techniques, we're going to use expert judgment. Then because we're in the project manage project knowledge process, we'll use knowledge management and information management as tools and techniques, which are kind of unique to that one. And then we'll also use interpersonal and team skills. And as outputs, we will create the lessons learned register, which is another big one. And then we'll do the project management plan updates and the project documents updates. Moving right along. In our next process, we're going to monitor and control the project work. So as an input, we're going to use that project management plan again. The rest of these are pretty generic, but we'll use our project documents, work performance information, agreements, EEFs, and OPAs. The tools and techniques we'll use in this process for monitoring and controlling project work is expert judgment, data analysis, decision making, and meetings. These are all very generic and used frequently as tools and techniques. One of the unique outputs we'll get is the approved change requests. So those are change requests that have been approved. That's a big deal in monitoring and controlling project work. We'll also update the project management plan and we'll update the project documents. And then next process is perform integrated change control. We're going to use the project management plan as an input. And then we'll use our project documents, our work performance reports, our change requests, our EEFs, and our OPAs, all as inputs. So again, the project management plan is in there. Tools and techniques, we're going to use expert judgment. Change control tools, that one's unique, and it makes sense because we're in integrated change control. So it makes sense that we're using change control tools. Then we'll use data analysis, decision making, and we'll have meetings as we go through this process. This is another place where we will create outputs that are approved change requests, because again, we're in change control, so that makes sense. And then we'll update our project management plan, we'll do the updates to that, and we'll do the project document updates as well. And finally, in integration, we have the closing process. Closing project or phase is actually what it is. So the inputs there will be the project charter, the project management plan, which are both big common ones. We'll also bring project documents, we'll bring accepted deliverables because we're going to close. either a phase or the entire project. We'll bring our business documents, we'll bring agreements that we've made. We'll also have in here, which is unique, the procurement documentation, and then we'll use our organizational process assets as well. Tools and techniques we're going to use, these are pretty standard. We'll use our expert judgment, data analysis, and meetings. And the outputs, finally, we will have the project documents updates. And then this is a big one. We'll have either the final product, the final service, or the result transition. So whatever we were kind of trying to create, we should have as an output to our closing process. Then we will create a final report, which contains all of the information and everything as we went through the process. And lastly, we'll do our organizational process asset updates, update, those internal organizational process asset documents. That is all for integration. All right, next we are going to look at scope management, which is chapter 5 in the project management body of knowledge. So the first process is where we plan the scope management. So the inputs that we bring to this are the project charter, the project management plan. We bring our enterprise environmental factors and our organizational process assets as well. Tools and techniques are pretty standard: expert judgment, data analysis, and meetings. And then out of this, we're planning scope management, so we make the scope management plan. It's interesting that we create the requirements management plan as well from here. So moving on to our next one, we're going to collect requirements as part of scope. So we're going to use the project charter, we're going to use the project management plan to collect requirements, we're going to use project documents, business documents, we're going to use our agreements, our EEFs, and our OPAs. The tools and techniques we're going to use are expert judgment, data gathering, data analysis, decision making, data representation, which is a unique one that you don't see a lot, interpersonal and team skills, and then the context diagram and prototypes, which are all, those two are unique as well. So as a result of all of this, for our outputs, we're going to have the requirements documentation and the requirements traceability matrix. Next, we're going to define the scope. Since we've collected all the requirements, now we can define our scope. To do that, we're going to need our project charter as an input, project management plan, project documents, our EEFs, and our OPAs. Our tools and techniques, we're going to use expert judgment, data analysis, decision-making, interpersonal and team skills, and then a unique one is product analysis. And then out of this process, we need to have our project scope statement. That's a huge one. Since we've been defining the scope, it makes sense that we made our project scope statement. Now we know we have a scope set up for our project. And we'll also update our project documents as part of that as well. Once we've got our scope locked down, we're going to create the WBS, which is the work breakdown structure. So the inputs for that, we just take our project management plan, we take project documents, we take our EEFs, we take our OPAs. It's not much there. Tools and techniques, expert judgment, and then this is a very unique one and a specific one, which is decomposition, which is where we take the large tasks and we break them down from the WBS. So since we have an idea now of the scope, we take all those tasks, we break them down through decomposition into these like really small individual work level packages. And then as an output to that, we create our scope baseline, and then we just update our project documents as well. So next, once we've got the WBS created, we're going to validate our scope, make sure that we, it's a good scope. We didn't go over or under, no scope creep, stuff like that. So our inputs will be the project management plan, which is like always an input almost, except for before it's created. But then our project documents, work performance data, because we've done some work now, so we need to see how we're performing. And then we need our organizational process assets as well. While we're validating scope, one of the unique ones we're going to use is called inspection and decision making. So once we've done that, then we should have as an output our accepted deliverables. We should have some work performance information. We should have some change requests and some project document updates. Once we've validated our scope, we are going to control our scope. So to, this is part of monitor and controlling. So we need our project management plan as an input, we need our project documents, we need our work performance data, and we need our OPAs. The tools and techniques that we're going to use are data analysis. That's the only tool and technique we're going to use with controlling scope. And then outputs from this process are pretty generic. We have our work performance information. There are change requests that are going to come as part of controlling the scope. And then we'll update our project management plan and our project documents updates. And that is all for scope. All right, moving right along. We are in schedule management now, which is going to be chapter 6 in the PMBOK, I believe. So the first thing we're going to do, as always with most of these core ones, is we're going to plan the schedule management. So to do that, we need the project charter, we need the project management plan, we need our EEFs, and we need our OPAs. The tools and techniques we're going to use, we'll use expert judgment, data analysis, and meetings. And then a big one we're going to create here is our schedule management plan. So it's going to be the plan that's going to help us manage our entire schedule for this entire project. So next we're going to, now that we've kind of got our schedule planned out, we're going to define the activities that we need to do in this schedule. So to do that, we need our project management plan. We need our EEFs, and we need our OPAs. The tools and techniques we're going to use are expert judgment. Once again, we're going to use decomposition, again, taking those broad, big activities and breaking them down into the task level. We're also going to use a unique one called rolling wave planning, which we're not going to talk about in this video, but it's a good thing to know. Then you're going to use meetings as well. As an output of this process, we're going to have an activity list, we're going to have activity attributes, and we're going to make a milestone list. We'll also have change requests and project management plan updates. Then we're going to, once we've defined the activities, then we've got to sequence the activities, so put them in order. So to do that, we're going to take our project management plan again, project documents, EEFs, OPAs, those are our inputs. The tools and techniques we're going to use are the precedence diagramming method, dependency, determination, and integration, and then leads and lags. And those are all things to help us put the activities in the proper sequence to get them done to meet the schedule that we've created. And a good tool and technique to do that is also a project management information system, as opposed to doing it by hand. Then we have our outputs. So we're going to create a project schedule network diagram, or diagrams depending on how many schedules we're going to have, and then project document updates. Moving along here. Once we've done all of those things, then we need to estimate our activity durations. So how long are all these activities going to take? So to do that, we need our project management plan as an input. We need our pertinent project documents. We need our EEFs and our OPAs. So the tools and techniques we're going to use as a generic term, the expert judgment. We're going to use data analysis, decision-making meetings. And then we're going to use 4 forms of estimating. So there's going to be analogous estimating, parametric estimating, 3-point estimating, and bottom-up estimating. So those, just as a FYI, those all kind of are what they sound like. So if you're doing analogous, it's like taking something that's kind of similar, and then parametric is different. 3-point is where you take like 3 different points to the project. Like is it going to be, what's an optimistic, what's a less optimistic, and what's an optimal. And then bottom up is where you just take activities and take that as the bottom and go up to the top to make an estimate of how long stuff is going to take. Then, as a matter of outputs, you should, after doing this, since you've been estimating your activity durations, you should have your duration estimates. You should have a basis of estimates as well. And then you'll update your project documents. So now that we've gotten this far, we're going to develop the schedule. So to do that, we need our project management plan, we need our project documents, we need our agreements that we've made, we need our EEFs and our OPAs. Here's some tools and techniques to develop the schedule. We could do schedule network analysis. We could use the critical path method, which is like the longest path to completion with the most days. We should use resource optimization. We're going to use leads and lags. We could use schedule compression if we need to shrink the schedule. We'll also use agile release planning depending on how we're managing our project. More generic tools and techniques, you'll need your project management information system. to do a lot of this stuff, so you don't have to do it by hand, and data analysis. Once we've implemented all of these tools and techniques, done all of these things, we should have created a schedule baseline, a project schedule, which is another huge one. That's why it's in bold. We should have schedule data. We should also have project calendars now created. And then we're going to do our project management plan updates and our project documents updates. Once we've developed the schedule, then it's time to control the schedule. So in order to control the schedule, we need our project management plan, we need our project documents, we need our work performance data, which makes sense because we've been doing a bunch of work to get here, and we need our organizational process assets. So 2 generic tools to get this done: data analysis, project management information system, pretty common. Less common ones, we'll use the critical path method again. We're going to use resource optimization again. We're going to do our leads and lags, which is lead time, lag time, and scheduling tasks. And then again, if we need to shrink the schedule, we'll do schedule compression. So as an output to this process, we're going to have work performance information because we'll have done a bunch of work. And a unique one, we're going to have our schedule forecasts. So we should have an idea of what our schedules look like at this point, or what they've looked like, I should say. And then we'll have change requests. If we need to do our certain things to the schedule, we'll have change requests. We'll update our project management plan, and we'll output our project document updates as well, which leads us into the next one. All right, let's talk about cost management. The first thing we're going to do, cost management, we're going to plan our cost management. So we're going to use the project charter, we're going to use project management plan, we're going to use EEFs and OPAs. Those are our inputs. Then our tools and techniques, expert judgment, data analysis, meetings. And out of this, of course, we're going to make the cost management plan because we are planning our cost management. So that output completely makes sense. Now we're going to estimate our costs. So in order to estimate our costs, we need to use project management plan as an input, any project documentation we may have, or project documents, EEFs, OPAs to govern that. Then our tools and techniques. So again, generic, we're going to do expert judgment, data analysis. We'll use our information system for project management and decision-making practices. And again, we're going to have the uniqueness of analogous estimating, parametric estimating, bottom-up estimating, and 3-point estimating. So we're going to use those same ones only for estimating costs instead of what we did earlier with schedule. So the outputs for this should be our cost estimates, our basis of these estimates, and then we'll update our project documents as well. Once we've done all that, we need to determine our budget. So to determine our budget, we're going to take the project management plan, we're going to take relevant project docs, business docs, the agreements we've made, our EEFs, and our OPAs. So we're going to take all those as inputs. Then to the tools and techniques we'll use expert judgment, data analysis, and then some unique ones is cost aggregation, historical information review, funding limit reconciliation, and financing. That's how we're going to determine our budget. Once we have done this, we should have a cost baseline created. We should have a project funding requirements document created, and we should have project document updates done as well. Once we've determined our budget, we're going to control the costs. So in order to do that, we need our project management plan, we need project documents. We're going to use those project funding requirements that we created in the last one, work performance data, and OPAs. Tools and techniques. We're going to use expert judgment, data analysis, and our project management information systems. And then we have a 2-complete performance index that's going to help us control cost as a tool and a technique. It's a unique one. I think it's the only time we see that one there. That'll help us create work performance information, change requests. We'll have our project management plan updates, project documents updates, and then we'll also have a unique one, which is our cost forecasts. So that is unique to that one, and we are moving on. Next, we have quality management. So the first thing we're going to do in quality management is we're going to plan quality management, figure out how we're going to manage the quality of our project or of all of our stuff. So to do that, usually just want to point out that as we do our planning, in the planning part, when we're planning quality or whatever, usually the project charter is involved almost every time. It's not always, but it almost always is, so just something to note. Then the project management plan is almost always an input for just everything we do once it's created. We're going to use project documents, our EEFs, and our OPAs. Then we're going to use some of our more generic tools and techniques, expert judgment, data gathering, data analysis, decision making. We'll schedule meetings. We're also going to have data representation and test and inspection planning. And that makes sense when we're planning our quality management because we need to figure out how we're going to plan out our testing and our inspecting. So the big output that we make here kind of goes par for the course is the quality management plan. Since we are planning quality management, it makes sense that we made the quality management plan. Quality metrics are something that we'll make as a result. We'll also do our project management plan updates and our project document updates as well. The second process in quality is managing the quality. So we, as we're as we're executing and controlling, we need to manage the quality. So the project management plan, project documents, OPAs, those are all of our inputs, tools and techniques, data gathering, data analysis, decision making, pretty generic. We're also going to have data representation again. We're going to do audits. We're going to do design for X. We're going to have to use problem solving. We're going to have to use quality improvement methods and methodologies as well. Once we do all that, we should have some quality reports. We should have test and evaluation documents at this point instead of, because we created the plan, now we have those documentations. We should have our change requests, our project management plan updates, and our project document updates as well. The next one we're going to do is control quality. Oh, because we manage it, now we control it. So in order to do that, we have to have our project management plan, our project documents, approved change requests. We need to have deliverables at this point because we've got stuff coming in, so we need to see those to control the quality of them. We're going to use work performance data because we've done some work, EEFs, OPAs as per the norm. Tools and techniques we'll use to control the quality is data gathering, data analysis. We'll schedule meetings. We'll also use inspection. We're going to use testing and product evaluations, and we're going to use data representation once again. And then the outputs that are going to be created are quality control measurements. We'll make verified deliverables. We'll have work performance information, change requests, project management plan updates, and project document updates. And now we're ready to move on to resource management.